Hi, it's Gene, retired in Mexico, and welcome to our countdown of Bob Dylan's cover songs, cover versions of songs, not sung by Bob Dylan, but interpretations of other people. He is the most covered artist, even more than the Beatles. We just confirmed that. Thank you, Jim, for looking
You're
that
welcome.
up. So we're going to have a discussion about 40 cover songs. I'm going to go first. Jim is going to go second. But we invite you to hit that like or subscribe button, bells, notifications, the whole thing. It's really important. Please do that. We encourage your comments as well. So that's it. Any comments before we start, Jim?
This is Jim coming from retired in the one place where people in hell go to get warm, and that is Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah, Gene has left that behind. He's actually said that, it's cool there right now, and there we have a lot of jokes about the heat in Phoenix. People talk about it being a dry heat, and they don't know what the hell they're talking about. It is a dry heat, but so is an oven. But right now the city is preheating. It's like 111 degrees and it's preheating. So when it gets up to 120, then we can start baking things on it.
And if you spend more than a half an hour outside, isn't it a dry heave?
Yeah, dry eve. Yeah.
Because you can get sick from the heat.
People
Um,
die people die on the hiking trails. You really do. It's not an exaggeration.
right, it is. It's good, and there is a little bit of that social Darwinism going on there, where I don't mean to joke about this, but some of the people that go out on the trails and die, well, I won't say it. All right, so I'm going to get started, but I do have to say some interesting things about this list. So, one thing is, it wasn't until I finished the top 40 and looked at it that I saw that it's almost half women. It's 17 women and 23 male. Um, it's almost all singer-songwriters, very few groups or bands on here. So I found that interesting because I didn't know I felt that way about Dylan, but apparently I love to hear women sing Bob Dylan songs. And sometimes it works from a feminine perspective. Other times they don't change the pronoun and the woman is just still doing a he version, or, some of Bob Dylan's songs are very masculine and some have a feminine element and some are androgynous. And so it's interesting to go through that list. So most of these were chosen because the artist really embodies the song. So I'm going to get started so we don't spend too much time on this. Um, Number 40, George Harrison, If Not For You, originally from New Morning. He released it on All Things Must Pass. He does it pretty straight. He does it pretty straight. He adds a little slide guitar to it. It was a radio staple when I grew up. It brings back some good memories. Normally, I like more interesting interpretations that are not as close to the bone, but Harrison, a friend of Dylan's, did a great version of this. I do like the footage that was released of them rehearsing the song together for the concert for Bangladesh. If that were available, I might substitute that version, but there we go. All right, number 39. This is someone I'm not a big, not a huge, big fan of, but we're going to have some songs from this album I need to talk about. Bob Dylan's 30th anniversary concert celebration. And there's a picture of Dylan with Neil Young and Eric Clapton. So there are many good performances on here, and I don't know, maybe three or four of my songs will be from here. But what I have right now is someone I'm not a big fan of, but I just can't deny the power of this song. It's Johnny Winter doing Highway 61 Revisited. And his slide guitar, people talk about the great slide guitar. They say, oh, Dwayne Allman, Bonnie Raitt. You hear people talk about the great slide guitar players. But to me, I think Johnny Winter and Jimmy Page are seriously underrated slide guitar players. And yeah, Johnny Winter's not the best singer in the world, but he's doing this with Booker T and the MGs, with what's his name, G.E. Smith on guitar and Anton Fig on drums. And Anton Fig really, really drives this song. Number 38, I mentioned that I have women on here. A woman who did a entire album of Bob Dylan songs, and yet I'm not choosing from that Bob Dylan album. I'm going to go with her debut album, Relish. This is Joan Osborne from the 1990s, and I like her version of Man in the Long Black Coat, originally from Oh Mercy. Um, Her phrasing is really good on this song. When she sings the line about there are no mistakes in life, some people say it is true sometimes. You can see it that way. And then she talks about people don't die, they just float. She has a really nice phrasing on that song, and I like it. So we'll be doing a playlist, by the way, of these songs. Professor Gumbo and I will each do our 40, and then we'll do a combined playlist and put the link up here so you can listen to these songs. But I recommend it. Now, Blood on the Tracks, my favorite album. I said that I don't some of the cover versions, a lot of times I don't care for them as much as Dylan's originals because it's his best album. So therefore, it's going to be the hardest. But I do have some cover versions. Shelter from the Storm, I'm going to go with the jazz musician Cassandra Wilson,
Mhm.
who did a beautiful version of Shelter from the Storm. Really nice bass and nuanced vocals. So she has this thing where, yeah, she's a jazz artist, but she really embodies the song and gets into the meaning of the lyrics. Proof of that is she did an entire album of Billie Holiday songs. And if you want to hear, she does oh, I've just spaced out my favorite track on there. It's but anyway, she really reinterprets Billie Holiday really well, and she does the same thing with Dylan here. She does it quieter and more subdued. I do think this song is a little bit from the masculine point of view, but she pulls it off. And of course, she has a really nice deep voice too. I like Cassandra Wilson's Shelter from the Storm, nuanced, and she really captures the meaning. Number 36, and this will be the last in my set of five, uh, only released on the Bootleg Series Volume 15, Traveling Man. I got Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. You would think I would go with Death is Not the End. Really nice. I had that on here at first, but then I switched it out for Wanted Man.
Mhm.
And this is really good Manic Cave. And this is a really good example of why this is a fun listen because Nick Cave could have written this song. I think it sounds every bit as much like a Nick Cave song as it does a Bob Dylan song when Nick Cave does it. But when Bob Dylan does it, it sounds like a Bob Dylan song. When Johnny Cash does it, it sounds like a Johnny Cash song. I do like the version from Folsom Prison that Johnny Cash did, but I'm going to go with Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, Wanted Man. Your turn, Jim.
Okay, let me say just a few things about my list. And that is that, first of all, my caveat, it's entirely subjective. And
Hmm.
there are, you're going to get some songs on here, quite a few that are not on my best Bob Dylan songs list, because there are three things for a great Bob Dylan cover that I consider to be important. I don't know if equally important, but one of them is the song itself. Okay. But at the most, that is a third of it. Next, there is the performer. Okay. And so obviously I'm going to lean more towards performers that I like than performers I don't. For instance, if Eric Clapton were to do a song and if Pee Wee Herman were to do that same song, I would probably go with Clapton's. Um, and the third one is how it is done, okay? Just how it works as a song. So I took into consideration all of these things and so it was fun. But not only was it fun, but I was into this a while back. And Gene actually caused me to do it. He put together when some years ago, he put together some Bob Dylan covers. Well, once I got my computer and started burning CDs onto my or ripping CDs onto my computer, I started going through all the Bob Dylan songs. And so I did that again because I've added some stuff since. And I had well over 100 Bob Dylan songs that I wanted to put on. I had closer to 200 Bob Dylan songs, songs by Bob Dylan, but it was between 95 and 100 that I had ready to go. So I'd already begged Gene to let us go to 40. So I had to whittle it down to 40. And by the time I got down to the top 60, it was really, really getting hard. So I made a couple rules for myself. One of the rules is only one song per artist, sort of.
I
I
did
say
that.
sort of because if
Hmm.
there's somebody in a band that is in another band, that's okay. Another rule was that oh, well, Brian Ferry of Roxy Music, not only has he done several Bob Dylan covers, but he made an entire album of Bob Dylan covers called Dylan-esque. Okay,
Hmm.
hard to choose one Brian Ferry song because there are so many good ones. Um, and so that was one of them. So, and then you're going to find some artists that you may never have heard of here. There are some that I had never heard of until I found them, but I really loved them. Okay. So remember the three criteria: the the song, the performer, and the performance. Okay. So how many people have done I Shall Be Released? I first heard I Shall Be Released when I was a freshman in high school, and I got Joe Cocker's second album, and it
Hmm.
had a version of it on there. And I noticed that it had Dylan Manuel as the singer, so Dylan in the band, but it was um, Joe Cocker I first heard. But that's not the version that I use. The version I use is somebody I've really learned to love since, and that is Paul Weller, formerly of the Jam, formerly of the Council, formerly of Paul Weller. And he did this version of I Shall Be Released, which as Paul Weller grew older, he has some of the soul that Joe Cocker did, but not as much gruffness. Okay. So I Shall Be Released by Paul Weller. The
Hmm.
next one is an artist I don't particularly love, but I can't deny why everybody raves about this version. And that is Make You Feel My Love, done by Adele. Okay. And she had a huge hit with it. Um, I'd first heard it by Luca Bloom, no relation to me. And my real name is Bloom, his is not. But he had done a version of it, but his doesn't come close to her version of it. Hers is just so beautiful. So Make You Feel My Love by Adele. Then you mentioned Highway 61 Revisited. Now, I had Highway 61 Revisited, Johnny Winter, but then as I was going on, wait, Highway 61 Revisited, Dr. Feelgood. For those of you that don't remember Dr. Feelgood, they were a pub rock um, roots band in England in the late 70s. No, sorry, late. No, it was the mid 70s, mid
Right,
70s.
right.
Um, and Lee Brillo was the lead singer, and his voice is so perfect for Highway 61 Revisited that I went with his version. If I'm going to listen to a cover, I like the Dr. Feelgood version. This next one was a little hard for me to find earlier, but it was on a single, and it is the White Stripes doing ISIS. And as I was playing this for Cindy, she'd never heard that one, but she'd heard, she knew the song Isis. And she said, "This is really good. Is this Jack White?" I said, "Yeah, it really is." And and it's just him and his big sister, Meg. But it's done live, and it's really raw, but it's Isis. And then here's one had never heard of this band. I had to look them up, but I love Idiot Wind by the Cole Porters, Coal Porters.
Hmm.
And have you heard of them, Gene?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are that rare beast, a neo bluegrass band. With the banjo and everything, but they do Idiot Wind in a way that makes it almost sound like a fun song. Um,
Wow.
so so those were my choices for the first five.
Well, that was good. That was an interesting list. And yeah, Cole Porters, boy, that surprised me. I am
You've
familiar
heard
with
you've
them.
heard them before.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They've done a lot of uh, classic songs. So I like them. All right. I think I'm up next, right?
Yeah, you are.
So number 35, I'm going back to this Bob Dylan 35th anniversary. Thanks, Bob. Thanks for having Bob Fest. Neil Young, just like Tom Thumb's Blues. So this list, I have very little crossover between the two lists. Very little crossover. It's almost two unique lists, and I didn't really expect that. But I mentioned Highway 61 Revisited. That was on both lists, and now I've got Just Like Tom Thumb's Blues. Neil Young owns it. Sounds like he could have written it.
Totally agree.
And and of course, he doesn't have Crazy Horse. He's doing it with Booker T and the MGs, but they're such a versatile band that it almost sounds Crazy Horse-ish, if that's a word. And I love his version. He also does a great version of All Along the Watchtower, but I slightly prefer this one. The humor of that song really comes out. Neil Young captures that. Number 34. Yeah, I got to go with this because it's such a classic. Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash doing It Ain't Me, Babe. And they did that live at the 30th anniversary, but I'm going to go with their studio version that they did. I think most people know this song. It's just fun listening to Johnny Cash and his wife do. And it's kind of weird, isn't it, that It Ain't Me, Babe is a duet. That is a
Hmm.
little odd. Especially a married couple almost singing to each other that are a union that love each other, singing, "It ain't me, babe," that you're looking for, but you can take it in stride. Number 33. I can't believe how much she sounds like Bonnie Raitt, but I'm going to go with Susan Tedeschi. Susan Tedeschi, who did a really moving version of Lord Protect My Child. Really, really, she gets into the lyrics on this, um, and just totally inhabits the song. It's an outtake from, I think, Saved, if I'm not mistaken. It's a Christian period outtake, but she um, really gives it meaning. Number 32, one of my favorite artists who did recently, just recently in the last year or two, did an entire in the studio live album of all Bob Dylan covers. Wiki, for some reason, has no article on this album, but Lucinda Williams has done like I say, a complete album of Dylan songs. She does a really good version of Trying to Get to Heaven. She does a really good version of Idiot Wind. But the song that I'm going to pick is from Blood on the Tracks, and it's Meet Me in the Morning. Why? Because as much as I love this song, I never considered it one of my top two or three songs from Blood on the Tracks, but I listened to her version. Yeah, and it made me think about the song differently, which is really nice. We could be in Kansas City by morning or whatever that line is, and she sings it, and I heard new things. I heard new things in the lyrics and got a new interpretation. So that's a pretty neat trick. It also has wicked slide guitar. It has a slide guitar solo that's just fantastic. And it also works really well from the feminine point of view. And finally, at number 31, just missing my top 30, Robert Plant's version of One More Cup of Coffee. And you were talking about how it's kind of an Arabic styled song or Arabic vocal. Robert Plant picked up on that, and he and the guitarist Justin Adams really did a nice arrangement of this song with a nice understated vocal. And yeah, I would say Robert Plant's version is even more Arabic. That's it.
I agree. Okay. Uh, you're into a lot of modern folk musicians. Are you familiar with Eliza Gilkison?
We saw her in concert.
Did we?
She opened for Richard Thompson.
Oh, yes, that's right. She did. Yes, I'd forgotten about her. Well, she does a really killer version of Joker Man. Okay.
Yeah, I
So I
listened
didn't,
to it.
yeah, I'd forgotten that she did. I'd forgotten that we saw her. Yeah, I thought the name sounded really familiar. Now, like a Rolling Stone, not super covered, but there are some covers, and most of them I don't care quite as much for, like John Mellencamp's version on that live thing. The Rolling Stones did it on a live album of theirs, and that's
Right.
quite good. I was going to go with the Rolling Stones, but I chose a version that I love better, and this is by a band that you got me into, Gene. This is by the Drive-By Truckers,
Ah,
and all five of the singers, five, not five of the singers in Drive-By Truckers take a verse. So it's really cool. Each one takes a verse, and their version of Like a Rolling Stone is so Drive-By Truckers.
hmm.
So, you know.
I'm trying to think. Is
Uh,
that from one of their live albums?
no, I think it's from one of their bits and pieces albums.
It's
You
from the
know,
album with uh, George Jones talking cell phone blues.
yeah.
I love that song. You're gonna be doing duets with Tammy again?
They're funny. They're funny and they're really good. Um, then stuck inside of Mobile with the Memphis Blues again, Cat Power. Which is from the I'm Not There soundtrack. Yeah, is I believe. Yes. Um, and Cat Power is really good as an alt folk type of thing.
Hmm.
Um, then there was also just not that long ago a huge collection. There was a huge collection of Bob Dylan covers. Most of them were new, and you could get the single disc or the triple disc. And of course, I got the triple disc. I'm trying to remember the name of it. But no, May Your Song Always Be Sung. Was that the name of it? Here, I can look it up real quickly. It's uh, let's see. Let me go over here to my okay, Dylan various chimes of freedom. That's right, chimes of freedom. And I have the 76.
You're talking about this. Are you talking about this album?
That's the one. Okay. So yeah, it has a lot of really fine stuff on it. It has some stuff that didn't impress me as much. I mean, if I had to choose between Chimes of Freedom and I'm Not There, I would choose I'm Not There. But it still has some really great things, including Jackson Brown, an old favorite of mine, doing Love Minus Zero, No Limits. And then my number 31, this is from I'm Not There. And talk about Bob Dylan songs that give me chills. when I was watching I'm Not There, Richard Gere is coming into town, and there's giraffes and weird things there, but there's a band playing um, on the little stage, the little performance stage there. It's an outdoor stage, and you see this guy with his face painted white, with a beard, but his face is painted white, and it's Jim James, who sometimes goes by Yim Yames, and also from My Morning Jacket. Okay. And he's performing with Calexico, a Tucson band. And Calexico are great backing him up. And the song is Going to Acapulco. And his voice is so mournful on that. Yeah, Acapulco. Going to Acapulco. So that's, and by the way, that is well, okay, so Jim James with Calexico.
And 32 was Jackson Brown.
Yes, Jackson Brown, Love Minus Zero, No Limit. And I'll share this a spreadsheet with you also.
Okay, great. So yeah, interesting. I knew this was going to be the most interesting of all of our videos. Um, so I love that. Number 30. You were talking about like you can get a song that's not your favorite Bob Dylan song, and someone can knock it out of the park and just go, oh, well, maybe I do kind of like that song. So I have this kind of unusual CD here. I actually own a hard copy of it, and it's called Bob Dylan in the 80s. Have you ever seen this before?
I have seen that. Yes.
Okay. So I'm picking a song from there. Um, by the way, I'm digressing now, but you were talking about Pee Wee Herman doing Bob Dylan. Do you remember when we were doing Bob Dylan does Michael Jackson?
No, but I will believe that we did.
Yeah, we did that once, and we were doing songs from Thriller, sung like Dylan.
Ah, okay.
I just wondered if you remembered that. Billie
Um,
Jean, not my lover. She's just a girl who thinks that I'm the one.
I have killed many brain cells since that time. So,
Okay. Well, anyway, Bob Dylan
and
did
I can say that as a former school teacher because I'm a former teacher.
this. I think this is a very uneven collection. It's on Spotify, and I don't know. It's just kind of oh, you have Bonnie Prince Billy doing Dark Eyes on here.
Ooh, ooh,
I don't know if I played that, but anyway, the song that I have on here that I really like is by Craig Finn from the Hold Steady.
yeah.
And he does Sweetheart Like You, and he kills it. There is this wonderful piano and organ keyboard work on it as well, but his phrasing, he has things he does on there where he just says like, "Oh, and by the way, that's a cute hat. What's a cute hat like that doing in a dump like this?" And he just nails the phrasing. And then he has things where he sings, and behind your back, they hiss. And he lets the S right out. So interesting the way he interprets this song. So Craig Finn's Sweetheart Like You, originally from Infidels. All right, 29. Here's where I have Knocking on Heaven's Door, which was not on my Dylan list. Hard to pick a version. Um, the first one that came to mind was by Danny and Dusty.
Hmm.
Who's Danny and Dusty, you ask? Have you heard of Danny and Dusty?
No, I don't believe I have.
Okay. Danny is Dan Stewart from Green on Red, another Tucson
Oh,
band.
okay. Yeah.
And Dusty is Steve Wynn from the Dream Syndicate. And they did an album together. It bombed, but they do a wonderful version of Knocking on Heaven's Door. But that's not on Spotify. So I was kind of looking around for another version, and I gotta go with Warren Zevon from his last album, The Wind. Zevon knew he was dying from mesothelioma. He knew that. And his voice was weak. And he and Jorge Calderon do a marvelous version, pretty straight. But when Warren Zevon sings, "Take this badge, I don't need it anymore. Put my guns in the ground," you just want to cry. It's the idea they had of doing this song knowing that he was dying is just so powerful. And then Jorge Calderon has these wonderful harmony vocals and slide guitar on it. It's poignant, it's emotional. Number 29, Warren Zevon, Knocking on Heaven's Door. Number 28, I know you're a big New Pornographers fan. I'm a big Nico Case fan. And I have a friend that's calling me who I told him that I would be recording, and he's calling me anyway. So let me X out on that. Um, all right. Okay. Sorry about that. It actually rings. I don't know if you could hear that.
I could not.
Um, Nico Case did Buckets of Rain from Blood on the Tracks, and she did it live at Austin City Limits. So that was released on Spotify, her Live at Austin City Limits album. It's just fun and it has really good slide guitar. I don't know who her slide guitar player is, but she she just has so much fun with this and the audience is loving it. So that's number 28. Um, Number 27, is this a cover song? Is it a cover song if Bob Dylan gives it to you first? I'll Keep It With Mine by Nico. And by the way, there's 1 degree of separation here with Nico. I wonder if you know what it is, Jim.
Is it Jackson Brown?
No, that's a good guess, though.
Because he wrote a number of the songs that were on her first album.
Right, and that maybe that's 1 degree, but it's the producer.
John Cale?
Nope, Tom
No.
Wilson.
Oh, okay. All right.
So the producer on Chelsea Girl is Tom Wilson. And he produced those early Bob Dylan albums, I think through Bringing It All Back Home. And then Dylan switched and started working with Tom Johnston. But Tom Wilson is the early producer on both of those albums and also produced The Velvet Underground and Nico. So you have the same producer. He's the one that added all the strings that made Nico so angry, strings and flutes, but I like it. It makes the song into chamber pop, and it's really great. By the way, I have a biography on Nico, and he almost certainly gave this song to Nico, we think, can't prove it, but probably gave the song to Nico because she fucked him. That's what the biography says. So. But then she slept with almost everybody. It's
That
quite a biography.
that's why he gave so many songs to Roger McGuinn.
That's not even right. So anyway, anyway, she does just a marvelous job with this in her chanteuse German voice. It's great. Number 26, people talk about a perfect marriage of band and song. Not a not nec- Not a huge fan of this band, but Rage Against the Machine on their last album was all covers. They did Maggie's Farm
Hmm.
and Zach De La Rocha. If did I say his name right?
Yeah.
Zach. he was born to sing this song. Oh my God. And the way he just snarls, he puts his cigar out in your face just for fun, and he just snarls that line. It's really great. And then you're just thinking, well, I've had enough of this song. No, Tom Morello comes in and does some killer guitar on it. So that's my 3326.
Okay, great, some great selections. Um, this next one, if it weren't so fantastic, I would be embarrassed to have put it on there. And you know me, you know what I like and what I don't.
Huh?
But this is, I said, you know what I like and what I don't like. And so this actually surprised me, but I'm not surprised. I mean, I'm not surprised knowing what it's like. It is Lay Lady Lay by Duran Duran. And
Really?
God, it is so good. Simon Le Bon sings, his voice is so beautiful and his range is so great. And on that same album, Thank You, they do Led
Uh-huh.
Zeppelin's Thank You. And Robert Plant said that Simon Le Bon's vocal was his favorite version of all versions of Led Zeppelin songs.
Huh.
Um, so if you haven't heard it, check it out. Lay Lady Lay. It's a little bit overproduced, perhaps, but there's a lot of reverb on his voice when he goes on, but it's Duran Duran at their best. Oh, and also Warren Carulio is on it, and one other. You know what I'm talking about?
I'm shocked by this pick.
Yeah, but just check it out. Just check it out. Lay Lady Lay by Duran Duran. Um, then listen to. Have you heard it?
No, I didn't even know it
Okay,
existed.
okay, listen to it. Um,
Okay.
then number 29 is from I'm Not There, and I mentioned this when we were talking about albums. Pressing On, which looks like it's being sung by Christian Bale, but it's not. Christian Bale is pretending to sing it. It's actually John Doe of X. And man, when I first heard this, when I first watched the movie, I thought, wow, Christian Bale is a really soulful singer. Well, he's not. John Doe is, however. John Doe is a great, R&B soul singer. And so it's probably one of the most gospel Dylan songs ever. And it's like almost becomes a gospel shout out because it's got a gospel choir behind it and everything else. But Pressing On by John Doe. I love that song. The next one is a song that I was reluctant to put it on only because just like you had one song that's not that different from the way Dylan does it, but
Right.
it still is really good. And that you know who Elliot Murphy is.
Yes.
Yeah, Elliot Murphy did Dignity and did a really, really great version of Dignity. His voice is good. The recording is really excellent. And so everything about his version is excellent. Now, I told you there was one more Calexico, and this is Iron and Wine, who is a singer, but he's a alt folk singer with Calexico, and he does Dark Eyes. Now, I didn't put the Bonnie Prince Billy on because I didn't know about that one, but this one is also really good with Iron and Wine and Calexico doing Dark Eyes. And then this is one that I love, 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 and it's from a and it's another band that you kind of got me into. I don't know if you originally did, but it is X, Positively Fourth Street, and it is on the B side of Fourth of July.
Oh,
And yeah, and so what an A side B side Fourth of July and Positively Fourth Street, and it is mostly Exene singing, but she says, but then John Doe comes in, hey, how are you? Good luck, and you don't mean it. So it's mostly Exene, but it's really really fun.
huh. Huh. Is that it?
That's it. No, that's number 26.
So what was I was gonna say something about go through your list again.
Just those five.
Yeah.
Lay Lady Lay by Duran Duran, Pressing On by John Doe, Dignity, Elliott Murphy, Dark Eyes, Iron and Wine with Calexico, and Positively Fourth Street X.
I know what I was going to say. So we saw the Grateful Dead together in
Yes.
94. I don't know if you know this. I don't think I ever told you, but the very next night, I went to a coffee house in Scottsdale to see
Hmm.
John Doe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
And then it was such a small crowd that I called out to him and I said, "This sure beats the Grateful Dead, or it sure beats the Dead." And you know what he shouted back to me?
What?
And a lot shorter.
And a lot shorter.
So I never met him, but that was I don't usually talk at a show, but it was appropriate. So he was talking to us and we were having a dialogue. Okay. Yeah, I love that song. All right, number 25. I am now somebody that I is a favorite artist of me. You may not even know how much I like this person. She is a top 10 artist for me. And this is Patti Smith. She
Oh,
has
yes.
done a number of Bob Dylan covers. Wonderful version of Changing of the Guard from her album 12. Um, she's done bunches, but I'm going to go with Wicked Messenger, which is from, I think, Peace and Noise, but was originally, from John Wesley Harding. Wicked Messenger, I like that song. Probably not one of my three or four favorites from John Wesley Harding. But when Patti Smith does it, boy, does this sound like she could have written this song because she uses so much biblical imagery and she totally inhabits it and she whoops and hollers and does that Patti Smith thing where she does that primal growl kind of thing that Patti does. She takes the song over. She really does. Kind of, we're now getting to the point where people are like, that's my song. I'm taking that from you, Bob. Um, awesome version. Number 24, I had to get some birds in here, the birds. So I'm thinking, what do I want? Do I want Mr. Tambourine Man? Do I want My Back Pages? So many different bird songs. But I'm going to go with my favorite Birds album, Sweetheart of the Rodeo. You Ain't Going Nowhere, which, as you mentioned, was both from the Basement Tapes and a different version from Bob Dylan's Greatest Hits Volume 2. So I love this country thing. Roger McGuinn's vocals are really good, and there's some fantastic pedal steel on it. Number 23 was a song. I got to tell you, Jim, this was kind of an unusual one because remember I cut my list down to 30 and then you said you wanted to do 40?
I threatened to kill myself if you didn't do 40.
Yeah, so I had to find out what 10 songs I cut and try to go back. And when I added 10 songs, I actually added one that was not originally on my list, and it is from this Chimes of Freedom. It was a song I had sampled and played, and I thought was all right, but I listened to it again. You know what? It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Not only did I add it back to my top 40, but it's now at 23. I scooted it up. Um, Diana Krall,
Mm. Hmm.
Simple Twist of Fate. Jeff Tweedy did a cover of this song. A lot of people. I've never really been happy with anybody's cover of Simple Twist of Fate. It's a really difficult song to do. She just sits down. It's her and the piano. She does some harmonics on it and she kills it and she gets right inside of it. And it was a sleeper. I did, like I say, I didn't even have it on my original top 60 or 70, however many songs I started with a working list. And I just somehow checked it out again and fell in love with it. Her vocals are fantastic. And then at number 22, by coincidence, I did not design this. I have Mr. Crawl at number 20. You know who Mr. Crawl is?
Elvis.
Elvis Costello from Kojak Variety. I love his version of I Threw It All Away. And I thought, when I first heard it, I thought, oh, Steve Naive is so good on here. Well, it's not Steve Naive. It's a guy named Larry Neckdahl who plays both piano and organ on it. But the way that Elvis just delivers this vocal on I Threw It All Away, it's great. Originally from Nashville Skyline. And at 21, I have another song from Nashville Skyline. And this will be, I guess, my Duran Duran pick, like you picked Duran Duran. At number 21, I have Cher, but not her. What was the one she did originally? Tonight I'll be staying here. I mean, she did another Dylan cover, but this is Tonight I'll Be Staying Here with You, which is very interesting, sung from a woman's point of view. But this is from her album 3614 Jackson Highway, which is the album she recorded at Muscle Shoals. So this has all the Muscle Shoals personnel on it, and she's just the singer. And if you read reviews of that album, it gets really good reviews. I like Cher's version of Tonight I'll Be Staying Here with You. Yeah, I was surprised as you or anybody else, but there you go. That's my five.
Okay. Oh, the one thing I wanted to say at the beginning, and I forgot to, is for those of you that are into classical music, Bob Dylan has something in common with Johann Sebastian Bach, and that is that you can play Bach's music any way, any style, any instruments, and it still sounds good.
Uh-huh.
And that's true with Bob Dylan songs too.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we go with an uh, It's All Over Now, Baby Blue. And I tried to avoid classic recordings as much as possible, but there's a couple I had to have on there because they're so perfect. And Van Morrison singing with them is
Hmm.
so perfect with that that I could not leave that out. Other people have done it. Brian Ferry did it, but them's version of It's All Over Now, Baby Blue. Then one that I had not been familiar with for a long time, but it's all the Ballad of Hollis Brown by Stephen Stills.
Hmm.
And it's Stills doing a very bluesy acoustic version of it. Basically, he's just playing, acoustic guitar on his own and singing it in a deep Stephen Stills voice. And so definitely check that out. A
Wow.
song about it's probably one of the most depressing of Dylan's songs. Um, whether it really happened or not doesn't matter because it did happen to some people, but it's about a sharecropper on South Dakota who kills all his family because he can't afford to keep them alive, and he kills himself too. Um, and so, the Ballad of Hollis Brown. Mississippi by Sheryl Crow. Um, that's a really nice version of it. Sheryl Crow does it, but Sheryl Crow's a great singer and she's a great interpreter as well. Then uh, I'll Be Your Baby Tonight, which is done by Robert Palmer, and he does kind of a shuffling reggae version of it. And if you're a fan of Robert Palmer, you're really going to like it. It's Robert Palmer as Island Records Robert Palmer, not on what do you call it, the band that he was in with Duran Duran.
Power station.
Yeah, Power Station. No, it's not Power Station. You can't imagine Robert Palmer singing this with a bunch of women, scantily clad women playing fake guitars and all. This is
Robo
and
women.
th- and then I'd mentioned to you that I had first heard "I Shall Be Released" by Joe Cocker.
Uh-huh.
Now we're Joe Cocker again. Leon Russell and Joe Cocker from an album that I had from the time I was a freshman, and that is Joe Cocker's live album, Mad Dogs and Englishmen. And I put it as Leon Russell and Joe Cocker because Leon does the main vocal and Joe does the alternate vocal, but they do Girl from the North Country. And
Hmm.
um, they really do a great job of it, together. So it's all over now, Baby Blue, The Ballad of Hollis Brown, Mississippi, I'll Be Your Baby Tonight, Girl from the North Country.
Interesting. Yeah. I have a just a quick digression. I have a couple albums here. I wonder if you've ever seen them. You ever seen this?
Yes, yes, I have that one.
You do. Okay.
Yeah,
Have you ever
got it
seen?
from the magazine. Yep, got it from the magazine. That's actually where I first heard the Mark Carroll. Um,
Yeah, when you asked me if I'd heard that, I said no, but in fact, I own it.
isn't the Cole Porters is on there too, isn't it?
Is it? Okay. Yeah, these are really good, but of course, they're not available on Spotify. But yeah, we let's see the yeah, Mark Carroll. And who else did you say?
The Cole Porters.
They yeah, Idiot Win. You're right.
Hmm.
That's on here. So some of these are available on Spotify, some of the songs. Okay.